What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got the Steelers have a QB controversy. Let's check this out.
There are a lot of exciting
check this out, man.
quarterback battles this offseason. And then there's the battle of the mid.
I mean, like, both of them have definitely struggled so far. You know what I'm saying? Fields has had his ups and downs. But, bro, the last game we saw with Russ starting, they couldn't do anything, bro. Like, they had their starters in and still couldn't score a touchdown. They only put up 3 points the whole game. Like, yo. Yeah, I'm not scared of Pittsburgh this year, bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
A very good NFL quarterback, and the other who has long had high expectations but never truly hit them. Now they're battling it out for the Steelers quarterback position. And
I mean, Steelers always had a mid QB room to begin with. If we being honest, bro.
Take a guess. The quarterback position has been a weak one for the Steelers. For a long time, it was Ben Roethlisberger, and there weren't any worries. And then that all changed when he retired.
Yep.
The Steelers tried to fix it like any team would and decided to use their first-round pick on a quarterback and even got a chance to take the first quarterback off.
Reach of hell, bro.
Kenny Pickett. Of course, now the only one starting still is Brock Purdy. The only other one that's even started regularly during a season is Sam Howell. It was a very weak class looking back, and Pickett perfectly encapsulates that. He was hard to watch. It was a chore having to watch Kenny Pickett play. He ended up starting 12 games in both of his seasons with the Steelers. He had 13 touchdowns in total over 24 games.
Oh, gosh.
Like I said, hard to watch.
Damn.
Gone were the days of competent quarterback play from Big Ben, and something had to give. So the Steelers tried to fix everything this offseason. They traded Pickett to the Eagles in a deal with a few picks involved, and then they signed Russell Wilson to a one-year vet minimum contract.
Yeah, I know Pittsburgh fans are glad it was just a one-year deal, because it's obviously that Russ is in it so far.
The Broncos are still paying him a ton of money to just not play for them. That wasn't it for the new Steelers quarterback room either. They ended up trading for Justin Fields from the Bears. That was also just kind of a pick swap deal. At least at this point, the Steelers found a way to have options. Kyle Allen is even there, who I think is a really good backup, especially just from his time in Washington. It feels like the Steelers are really just trying to find the guy. And who will it be? I really do think this is a solid quarterback battle between the two, and that's because I think Russell Wilson was actually really good last season. I know he got a lot of flack from that first year in Denver, and truth be told, it was really bad, but he got a lot better over the course of the season.
I mean, it's just him and Sean Payton were never on the same page.
Wilson, he's a guy, he's from Richmond, Virginia, where I'm from, where I live, so I've always kind of had more of a knack to following his career, and last season he was a lot better. The Broncos still wanted to move on, and that's fair. He's still an aging quarterback, but Wilson was so much better last season, and I do still think that he might have some fight left in him. He's not that old just yet. Obviously, a mobile quarterback doesn't have the same kind of shelf life, but I like Russell Wilson as a player, and I would love to see him have this kind of retribution season and at least play okay for the Steelers before he hangs them up in however many years. As for Justin Fields, that's a guy you have on the roster because he has a really high ceiling. We're talking about a guy that was a first-round pick for a reason. Really not that long ago, that draft has just been super weak, but Justin
for real, every single QB in that first round, bro, was absolute dog shit. The only one still starting is Trevor Lawrence, which is crazy.
He's had some incredible moments, some highlight moments when you look at it. The number one problem for him is he has never been consistent, and maybe by spending some time with a guy like Russell Wilson, a guy that is a mobile quarterback, a veteran, a guy that's won a Super Bowl, who has had some really good seasons, maybe that'll help him develop over time. And Justin Fields is still pretty young as well. Coming into training camp, the full expectation was that Russell Wilson was coming in as the projected starter, and that probably is still the case, but it's just a bit complicated. Russ hurt his calf during the team conditioning test. It sounded like it really wasn't too big of a deal, but the Steelers were really cautious about it, and that really did open the door for some more reps for Fields, and he got to play with the first team. As for the preseason, Russ didn't end up playing the Steelers' first game. Fields did, and he didn't do a ton. He went 5 of 6, 67 yards. It was honestly really Kyle Allen, who just played like the entire game, and then he didn't even play at all last game. It was just Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and the offense barely moved the football.
Bro,
they combined
this shit was horrific.
the entire game, and the Steelers scored 3 points. It was a hard Pitts was a bit sluggish.
Yo.
He didn't go 8 of 10. He had 47 yards. Then Fields was 11 of 17 for 92 yards. And we got to see our first big taste of his rushing ability in Pittsburgh. He had 8 carries for 42 yards. They're going back and forth in this competition, and it isn't very pretty.
I mean, Fields has outplayed Russ so far. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's Russ's job to lose, and that makes sense. When you look at this quarterback competition, it kind of comes down to 2 big questions. Who will be the starter and who should be the starter? As far as will goes, I feel like every single thing we've seen has pointed in the direction of Russell Wilson. He's the veteran, and even if they like Justin Fields, they might want to try to give him time and truly develop past what he actually did in Chicago. By every measure,
who should be the starter,
Russell
though?
Wilson plays absolutely terrible or screws everything up somehow or gets hurt, it's probably going to be him starting week 1 and not Justin Fields. As for who I think should start, honestly, I don't think this is going to be a very good year for the Steelers. I don't think they're going to be a terrible football team. I do think Mike Tomlin is definitely in danger of his first losing season as a head coach, but that's just how the NFL goes.
That, bro, that's music to my ears as a Baltimore Ravens fan, bro. I'm not even gonna hold you.
North is just an absolute gauntlet. They're not going to be better than the Bengals, the Ravens, you know? There are some great teams in that division. I don't really believe in the Browns as much, but we'll see how it goes. This is a building year. I don't think they're going to be that good. And so I say, why not put out the guy with the high ceiling? You're actually technically paying him more, I think, too, since Russ is on a veteran minimum. So why not? I say you throw out Justin Fields. I think that's going to be better in the long run for this team. Russ, I think we know what Russ is at this point. He's a veteran. Justin Fields, let's see what happens. Now, whoever the starter is, there is one big question to ask. Are they actually in a spot where they can succeed? And that's a loaded question. One of the Steelers' top receivers is gone.
I mean, like, their biggest weakness right now is wide receiver. Like, the only proven, you know what I'm saying, really good wide receiver they got is George Pickens. Outside of him, you don't really have much. Calvin Austin hasn't really saw the field as much. You know what I'm saying? They brought in Van Jefferson. They drafted Roman Wilson, who is a rookie. So I really don't know how their receiving core is going to perform this year.
He was a Steeler for 4 years, and they sent him to the Panthers for Dante Jackson in a 4th rounder. George Pickens really was the number 1 for the Steelers last season, and now he really is. I do think he's a good receiver, but I'm not sure about him as a 1. He could definitely prove that this season. He was great last season, and obviously his quarterback situation was pretty rough. So if he can even just get okay quarterback play, maybe he's great. But after him, it's just not a very good receiver room. They have Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin, 2 guys who didn't do too much last season. Calvin Austin was on the Steelers, Van Jefferson, brand new. Roman Wilson is a really interesting rookie to keep an eye on, though. The Steelers just took him in the 3rd round out of Michigan. It would be great if he can turn into a good receiver and slide into that 2 or 3. Then there's running back, Najee Harris. He's still there, and somehow he's gonna rush for 1,000 yards again, despite having the field vision of a partially blind grandparent. Of course, he's gonna do that too, with the line not being very good again.
Yo,
2 names you really
why you doing my boy Najee like that?
Who was a stud for the Eagles for a long time and signed in Pittsburgh last year. And then there's Broderick Jones, a 1st rounder last year. That dude,
bro, this nigga was getting bullied by Greg Rousseau, bro. Like, bro, this is the worst I've seen him. Like, yo, even when he was at Georgia, he wasn't getting bullied like this. But yo, Greg Rousseau just kept walking him back into the lap of Russell Wilson the whole entire time he was in the game.
Behemoth of a dude, and the Steelers definitely want to see him continue to develop this season. The Steelers offense, I do think, is a pretty interesting unit. I get they traded away Deontay Johnson. I still don't quite understand trading away Deontay Johnson. I don't love these wide receiver weapons they have on this team. I think George Pickens does have, you know, the potential to be a good NFL player.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Like, I feel like they should have kept Deontay Johnson, you know, and then still draft Roman Wilson, so you can have like a solid, you know what I'm saying, 3 wide receiver core right there with probably Deontay in the slot and then Roman and Pickens on the outside. But I just don't know. Just don't understand it, bro.
really good. Number two,
help out the
which is
Panthers, I
what I've
guess,
seen. But
but
then again, I've only seen him play really with Kenny Pickett in the NFL, which is, you know, hard for anybody to succeed. I can't stand watching Najee Harris play, and the offensive line I don't think is just that good. Overall, I just think it's not that great of an offense, but somehow, some way, they'll find a way to win football games because Mike Tomlin's there. The expectations for the Steelers this season are interesting. Somehow, Mike Tomlin is allergic to losing seasons. No matter what, he finds a way to have a winning record, even if it means being incredibly mid and still missing the playoffs. DraftKings has their current line set at 8.5 wins, so they're pretty much expecting them to be right in between that 500 spot. They are the very definition of mid, and so is the quarterback battle. Meanwhile, the AFC North is just an absolute gauntlet. The Ravens on paper have gotten worse from last season, but that's still a really
okay, buddy.
team fresh off.
Nah, bro, I don't agree with that one bit. I believe we got better. Like, the only big piece we really lost was Mike McDonald. Like, I don't think of Patrick Queen as a huge loss because Trent Simpson is already better than him, bro. I believe. But you know what I'm saying? We brought in a whole bunch of big key pieces like Derrick Henry. We drafted Nate Wiggins. Like, bro, our secondary is still stacked, gang. Like, I feel like we got way better than last year. I'm not trying to hear none of that shit.
Two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Then there's the Bengals, who constantly have high expectations with Joe Burrow on the roster. And even
if he can stay healthy, bro, the Bengals are going to be just fine, like I've been saying.
Watson just being an absolute train wreck. As it stands, the Steelers are expected to be the worst team in the AFC North, and that still puts them exactly there at 500 as a mid team. By every measure, this Steelers team is a mid football team. They are a mid 500 football team, no matter how you look at it. The offense is mid. The defense is mid. Everything except really the head coach.
Well, I wouldn't really call the defense mid, you know, because you got TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Alex Highsmith, JPJ, you got Cam Hayward. So I wouldn't really call their defense mid. It's just not, how do I put this? It's just not much depth at each position, because you got, like, outside of Minkah, who's another great safety they got a great edge rush duo, but outside of those two guys, who's really that good? Nick Herbig is solid, but you know, who after those two guys? And then you got Cam Hayward up the middle, who's really good outside of him. You know what I'm saying? So I think depth is a big problem for them on defense.
And to make
it's just not that their defense is mid, it's just they don't have a lot of depth.
Divisions in football, those two North divisions in football, I think are the most exciting. And you look at the AFC North, and it's probably the toughest division in football. It's just that scrappy brand of football. The Browns have a really good defense. They do have some good offensive weapons, and I just don't see them even being able to play with the Ravens, who have gotten worse, and I still don't think it's going to matter. That's how good the Ravens are. The Bengals, you know, they aren't too far removed from that Super Bowl there. As long as you have Joe Burrow, you're supposed to be good. If I had to put a number on it, I think the Steelers finish probably 7-10. I think they don't even finish quite 500. I think on paper this is a 500 football team, but once you add in the fact that they play in the AFC North, you probably are going to stack up a little bit more losses. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the Steelers record is. Mike Tomlin should still be there next year, and I would imagine that Justin Fields is still there next year. Will Russell Wilson be there? I have no idea, and that's why I think it's probably best.
I don't think he is.
Justin Fields, see what
I think it's just a one-year rental.
Either way, just go out there, see what you can do, and if you absolutely suck, take a quarterback next year. Try to reset this thing. This is a very important quarterback battle for the Steelers. And honestly, even if Russell Wilson wins, I'm expecting Justin Fields to start this season at some point.
Hey, man, what do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on post notifications, get notified whenever I drop another banger video. We're on the road to 500 subs. Let me get there for more banger NFL reactions like this. So without further ado, I'm out. Gang!